there being, just so everyone's aware. And so I'd like to make a motion to open the January 5th, 2023 New Paltz Town Board meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And are there any announcements? I don't have any announcements. And so I'd like to open the floor for public input. There's no one on Zoom. Is there anyone here? No
Raise your
comment
chance.
here.
Chance.
And so with that, I'd like to move on. We have a presentation from the county on the proposed emergency operations center. And so you can share the screen if you want.
So Neil, if you give us a little time, we would like to introduce the team. So I'm
It's
going to ask them to
up to you
introduce
now.
themselves. So my name's Dennis Doyle. I'm the planning director for the county, and we've been sort of helping getting to where we are in terms of site selection and also working on some of the secret work that we have to do, and we'll help work through this process with respect to the town. And we'll explain a little bit more about that process as we go on. And I'm going to ask the rest of the team to introduce themselves.
Everett Erickson, Director of Emergency Services for Ulster County.
Craig Tripp, landscape architect with Greenman Peterson, site civil engineers. Rick Alfondre, Architecture, and we're working with Christopher Young and Urban Architects on this project.
Christopher Young with Urban Architects.
So I'm sorry, Chris, I'm going to interrupt. I just want to
This
give
is
you. an
why we
overview
call you commissioner. not
Of
director.
context. One of the things that we want you to understand is that since 2009, we've been sort of articulating the dire need of where we are in terms of our emergency preparedness for emergency operations. It finally, I think it came to a head when we started to realize that we have a separate emergency operations center that's separate from our public safety answering point, otherwise known as 911. And we continue to essentially add places to look for how we can coordinate and collaborate with what we need. And we started a long time ago. We thought this was a simple move, and we were trying to put Everett Shop in something where we had the family court went in, and we said, we're going to go in there. And we actually had an architect come on board, and we started the initial work. And what we found out as we learned more, and I have to confess that I was not involved in this initial discussion, but as we learned more, what we found out is the building wasn't suitable. And then we started to look at all the requirements for an EOC, for a PSAP. And then we started to ask ourselves questions: isn't it better if we put the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, and the PSAP together? And then we came up with a concept under the county executive, Pat Ryan. We came up with a concept of calling it Government Operations Center, with the idea that government does an awful lot of things where it requires a number of specialties to come together and problem solve. And we really didn't have that place in the county to do that. And so if we were going to put a substantial amount of technology and space in an area, we thought what we could do is also put problem solving and put people there that are problem solving, not just on an emergency basis, but on other issues that come up on a regular basis with respect to county needs, and also some of the things that are talking about as it relates to other needs we have. The other thing that happened is as we went through the design process, the ice storm hit. And when the ice storm hit, there was an absolute recognition that the conversation that we're having about space needs was different than what we really needed relative to that. And I credit the emergency management people for basically saying, "I told you so." And we finally had enough opportunity to convince the legislative leadership and the executive leadership that "I told you so" really meant we had to do something that was bold and would look to the future. So I want to basically say to you that this building is something that we think is going to be a legacy construction that is going to be the pride of Ulster County for a long period of time. We're looking at a carbon neutral building, which has never been done for this kind of structure. And we took some really important care in terms of choosing the consultant team. We brought on a local architect with a wealth of experience in terms of green infrastructure. And we brought on an architectural firm out of New York City that had a substantial amount of experience, not only in the design of the type of facility we're talking about, but also with respect to the design of these types of facilities in the Hudson Valley. And you're going to see some of that today. And last but not least, we brought on a civil engineering firm so that what we could do, and in working with the legislature, we could convince the legislature that when we landed on a site, that we had done our due diligence of looking elsewhere. And that's one of the things that's one of the reasons that GPI was brought on. And I'm sorry, and I'll stop talking now and I'll let the presentation speak for itself. But I just wanted to set some context.
No, not at all. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
And in fact, that will help me kind of blow through a couple of these first few slides. Let me just see. Yeah, team, oops, there we go. Hard to read now from there, but up top, the Ulster County portion in terms of the two portions to the left, the green and the red, real, the emergency services, the PSAP and the EOC. And then also, Dennis didn't mention, but we also have information services, the idea of putting the data center, the county's data center in the building. And then the other half down below is the design team. Rick Alfandre, I think needs no introduction here.
He did this.
That's true.
And also Craig representing GPI. Dennis was mentioning civil, and certainly that's Craig's own expertise. But mind you, they're also there for our structural, mechanical, electrical, and not just a quick mention to Cerami, just helping for the whole low voltage portion of things. And then Urban there as prime. I had a couple little slides. Whoops, sorry, a little hard to. Yeah, again, Rick, a little bit of ourselves in terms of local work. Most of our work certainly is a little further south, but we also are proud of having worked on and completed the New Paltz Engineering Innovation Hub building. And again, GPI also plenty of work in and around the valley. Going to the site selection. I will not do this in real time. It took us about just months and months, almost a year in a way, to get to the place of deciding this is the spot. And honestly speaking, I think our team, both the design team and the end users, kind of knew this was the place. It was a little bit of just convincing the legislature of that as well. But we had gone through plenty of sites up and around Kingston, and we've gone through a few sites as well down around New Paltz. And in terms of picking out number 10, Paradise Lane, as really the best place, I think in some sense it comes down to the old adage of real estate being location, location, location. One of those locations is the idea that it's not still up in Kingston, kind of where maybe the gravity, sort of center of gravity might be for the county. So we're actually really trying to bring that down a little bit. Second location point being right off the throughway in 299. It's going to be perfect, I think, for Everett and his whole team. And then the third location also just confluence of utilities, electric lines, everything that he wants in terms of redundancy, so that he makes sure that this kind of never gets into trouble with systems going down. So with GPI in particular, we've gone and the whole team worked through a set of selection criteria, and Paradise Lane ended up on top. And just a few kind of slides to orient ourselves. The full legislature has approved buying the full lot. We don't actually need the entire portion. Yeah. So that will cover us for our own needs here. And just again, reference slide. We're talking about zoning before meeting. And again, sort of roughly, that like so that we're looking to use for the government operations center.
Will there be an entrance from the throughway?
I know that Department of Emergency Services would love to have that, and I think Physically, yeah, it could work.
Ideal.
Yeah, it would be ideal, I think. It's sort of more a question of maybe trying to work that out with.
The process of working through that, I mean, it's been discussed, so.
The state, right?
Mhm.
Through authority.
Yeah.
Might be worth.
Start now in 10 years, maybe.
They probably won't entertain it seriously until this is a little further down the road. That's.
Let's see, I think the next one was just sort of a couple of reference slides in terms of what's there now, It's, sort of disused orchard farmland. And then that's your place, right across the street.
Yeah, I got that for you.
Mhm. So I should turn this over to Craig to do a bit of discussion of site plan. Just a one note here, kind of the full property line there. And then from there, taking a look at starting to zoom in fact on the portion that we're looking to use.
So as I said, my name is Craig Tripp. I'm a landscape architect with Green Peterson. So on this orientation here, everybody probably knows the site very well. I'm sure you got the Thruway spur there to the left, to the west, 299 to the north, South Ohioville Road to the east there, and then much more of the parcel still to the, off screen to the south there that you don't see on this view. It's a large parcel for what we're talking about for this particular aspect of it. We're kind of up in, I'll call it the northwest quadrant of the site is, where the development portion would be. Access, as you can see on there, to the north from up of Paradise Lane. And we're talking about, we're gonna propose and extend a right of way to the south to make a connection in the future. For the time being, it would just be a right of way that the utility connections would come into for now, and then the actual improved road aspect would be to the north. So as Christopher mentioned earlier on, one of the benefits of this site is the redundancy capability for the utilities, in particular electric and communications. We're gonna be able to pull from two different directions and two different providers. So the odds of, stuff actually going down are nil because of that fact.
So Central Hudson has two feeds coming in from two directions that land here South Ohioville, which is a unique aspect of this particular site compared to all the others we looked at.
So who's the second provider if it's not Central Hudson?
It comes out of two different substations.
Yeah,
Oh.
two different,
I was
yeah,
wondering.
And then the communications, I think, are what.
correct. So Central Hudson has two different substations that you can bring power in from two different locations. So you have your redundancy and diversity.
Okay.
Additionally, with Verizon to trunk lines, we have the New Paltz Central Office as well as the Clintondale Central Office. So you're coming in from two different locations. And then same thing with Crown Castle, we'll be
Yeah.
coming in for two different locations.
Right.
One of the most essential things is being able to, stay up and running 24/7, 365, no matter what type of disaster we're working through.
Mhm.
This is going to be housing all of emergency services, but especially our 911 center, and the 911 center itself. I like to refer it as the central nervous system of emergency response. Because if you can't dial 911 and we can't answer the phone for you, it doesn't matter how good the services are that we have in our county, we can't dispatch them. You got to be able to call for help and request it for us to get it to you. So, staying up and running 365 is essential.
Thanks.
You want to go to the next slide there? Oh, I'm sorry, I guess
That's right.
backwards. I thought we were on the one more ago. So just to get a little bit into the layout here. So as I mentioned, we're kind of hugging this all up into that northwest quadrant, and that accomplishes quite a few different objectives. For the building, we have an 82-foot surrounding kind of separation buffer. That's for, protection from somebody being able to pull up with a truck full of fertilizer or something too close to the building. So that's why you see the building located as it is to the north there. There's some existing vegetation that'll remain, and we're looking at supplementing that to provide some additional buffering up there. The parking area south of the building, similarly, that offset the same 82 feet just to keep that safe separation. And then we're looking at a septic system on the northeast corner of the building. And a well on what would essentially be the northeast corner of the building, and the circle you're seeing there is just the 100-foot protection zone for that and separation requirements. On the On the west side of the building, that dashed line there represents, a possibility of a future addition. And then a corresponding 82-foot offset of that, so you can just see that we're allocating the room necessary even for potential expansion in the future to keep those safe separation distances.
So, we have the Thruway Authority building, which is right there, has town water. So town water is pretty close,
Mhm.
Is it my understanding that there is a conduit under the thruway for water supply? I thought that there was some.
There is a conduit, yeah, that for, the long-term plan, it was eventually, well, with the previous developer. Wildberry, we were gonna run a line under there, but there's a conduit, so lines can go through there.
Yeah,
So you don't have to go under the thruway. But we already have a water line at the with the toll building.
the ones they tore down?
Yeah, well, there's still a building
Yeah,
there,
yeah, on the one side, yeah. okay.
but and that's like right next
Yeah,
to,
around there.
yeah, they have municipal water. Right there.
Actually, so yeah, that can be something we can explore further. We do know that if it has to go the route of a well, there is already an existing well that produces gobs of water to the
Yeah.
south of the site. So we know that we've got good access.
Yeah, there's lots of,
If we could get the municipal, that'd be fantastic.
I remember something about salinated water there at the site. Is there?
Yeah, there's the one issue with the
Yeah.
existing groundwater is the salt content.
Yeah.
So it could be, it's not.
you could take
still
it out.
potable?
Yeah,
You can take it out.
yeah.
I think the issue before is they needed a lot of water.
Yeah.
And so to take the salt out of that much water was gonna be harder. But if for just a smaller facility like this, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's less than all the uses that we've considered there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Using
Yeah.
much less.
Oops.
Joyce.
There we go.
There you go.
So continuing kind of south through the site, once you get past the parking area, we've got a 3 different locations that we're anticipating for potential stormwater management with infiltration. And then the large rectangle, the dashed rectangle south of the parking is where we have an area set aside for emergency operation field conditions. So whether it be a police response to a local event or, those types of things, that's an area where that would be able to be accomplished.
That, or as I understand, I think also like kind of if the state had to kind of deploy equipment itself.
Mhm.
Staging area.
We learned through Landon is, we deployed 50 police officers to go knocking on doors. And we brought in numerous police officers and to the Ulster County Law Enforcement Center.
Mhm.
And you need the staging area, you're bringing them inside, you're briefing them, and then they're coming back, doing a debrief. Bringing trailers in, so you really need that staging area to bring the resources.
And I think lastly, on the site aspect is that a little bit further to the south, just off of what you can see there is a overhead power line that's kind of running diagonally east to west there. So, kind of the final benefit of keeping things tucked up into that north is allowing the best separation from those lines for the operations itself on a daily basis, as well as having to exercise that field area.
This may seem like a silly question, but is there gonna be a generator for if like all hell breaks loose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just asking.
It's
From
actually a
experience.
requirement that the building have a generator
Okay.
by standards.
So I think the other thing is fortuitously, this location had the best soil conditions on the site. And the greatest depths to water table.
Yeah.
So other portions of the site, as you know, as you move back further in the site, it gets wetter.
Yeah.
And so we're fortuitously in terms of utilizing the site efficiently. This made a very attractive location for us to operate in.
Exactly, and the oodles of different options on the 13 other sites that we looked at, this just kept coming to the top and, the best fit for what we're trying to do.
I'll say one brief thing for the trees. Thank you. It's got wonderful, but where it's set, it's the best for wildlife and, corridors and for the trees to have it not be,
And keeping
You
it
know,
all out of.
yeah,
the-
keeping it right near the road and it's really. What the DEC and, the people that train, people like us to how to, put buildings and develop in a way that's sensitive to. Wildlife corridors and habitat, it's perfect, so. Yeah.
I know this is a lot to take at an individual time, but I guess my question, is there any concerns or questions about how we got to this site? I mean, we'll give you a lot of, okay.
No, I'm thrilled, actually. I mean, I'd heard like different things and, we're very excited. Everyone, I've talked to the police chief, fire chief, rescue squad, everyone's excited to I think, just in the last year, we've had, ice storm, tornadoes, wildfires, we have flooding, and there's just going to be more of those events. And I think the response that everyone saw, at least the town supervisors, to the ice storm and how it had to be coordinated, and there had to be, the county had to take the lead because you could not do it individually. It just wouldn't work. And to have something like this now happening is very exciting. And I'm very excited that it's in New Paltz. And I think this is a great spot for the county, but I think it's a great spot for New Paltz as well. And I think this serves us all, and I think we're all going to be better off. And I'm very excited about this, when, just so, people know, this was the Walmart site, right? And
And
people were against the Walmart because they were gonna focus on benefiting themselves and making money. This is going to benefit the county and the people in the county. And so I'm very excited that the county bought this, because I think this is going to be good for all of us. And I think people are going to look back and think this was a great decision.
Yeah, I just want to add too that I actually think there's so many different components about why this makes sense. One, I'm very excited that Rick, you're a part of the project. Obviously, you know your work because we're sitting in it, but you're a community member too, and you've done a number of projects in our community. What you said about the location, I think is actually very significant because for literally decades, no one has figured out what makes sense in this area. And there's been massive fights and a lot of time and energy that has gone into that. I really appreciate kind of the county's forward thinking in the site and some of the environmental initiatives that you're looking to do with that. Recently, at one of our town board meetings, we had another conversation just about some of the struggles we have with emergency services at large. So having that situated in our community, I think is really beneficial. And just from a professional standpoint, having recently left the county and having worked in some of these facilities with the fine individuals here as well. Those were facilities you guys did a tremendous job making work, but making them work and then being adequate are two very different things. So one, I commend you guys for using the facilities you did have to the way you have and the tremendous response, but this is important, and this is the kind of thing that makes these responses that much easier and ultimately saves lives too.
Thank you.
I'll add one more thing. I'm just very pleased that the traffic impact will be a lot less than the
Yes.
other options that were being considered for this place. So, you know, we see how difficult that area can be, very congested in the fall, you know, or holiday weekends. And it's a very good solution for that spot. So thanks.
So one of the other reasons that we purchased the entire site was the fact that this is a sensitive land use in terms of adjacencies with respect to protection. So we want to make sure if there are neighbors that we know who those neighbors are, who they can be.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. So,
You got more?
Yeah,
Chris?
sure, you know, I mean,
go ahead,
I
go
get
ahead.
going, but-
No,
Sure.
You can say
So
that.
that covers us for, there we go. Okay, so let's give you a bit of a view just in terms of what actually is going on in the building. Peek inside and then we'll take a peek outside. So this again is the same shape that we had seen on DPI site plan, and our main entrance right there, the red. So it has a number of uses, right? Yellow here just kind of highlighting more or less sort of common spaces and conference rooms, kitchen, bathrooms, that kind of item. Right here in the middle, we've got our emergency operations center. You know, certainly prayers are that it's used very rarely as emergency operations center, but there when it's needed. When it's not being deployed as emergency operations center, the idea is that it gets to be used by county departments, you know, so don't know that it's necessarily, you know, in constant use, but it's still, it's not meant to just be like a 2 or 3 day type per year type of space.
Going back to what Dennis referenced before, was, having the ability to problem solve. And what do we do in the Emergency Operations Center? We problem solve big natural disasters. And we'll have the technology, we have the capability, we have the areas that bring people together where you can work together. So it's built for that. And that was the vision of the past county executive, was to be able to bring our departments together, and they'll have the area to problem solve on other things going on within county government, town government, be able to work with other towns and so on.
So that then kind of covers, one key portion of it. Next on over in green, our call center, not in the PSAP. Main body there is kind of the central part. There's a training center up toward the left and a trainer as well. For day one, idea is it's basically kind of two sets of pods of 6, a supervisor and 5 dispatchers, supervisor, 5 dispatchers. There's also space for a mobile mental health dispatch station. And then kind of in the dotted lines are the idea of kind of a nearer term growth. So that, mobile mental health could go to 2 and, put in a few extras as well for the dispatch stations. You had seen where we were figuring on an expansion to the west, but that's kind of maybe I think more like a 20 or 30 year horizon so that, I'm not necessarily sure how we go from day one and how soon they want to fill in those extra desks. I think that's kind of a sort of see how things go. But yeah, so there's sort of the short-term expansion and then a much longer horizon expansion. So there's our PSAP. Let's try this one instead. So none of that really happens without the support of actually the Department of Emergency Services. So here are the offices for the director, deputy directors, and we're covering the 911 center itself, EMS, fire, bit of a quiet room as well, so that the dispatchers can actually decompress for times when that's needed, records room and so on. So that's our third or fourth component. None of that happens without the IT. So again, here in purple, server room kind of kept inside, well protected, and serving both for the PSAP and the EOC. And as I say, it's also serving for the county data center. And then
And radio. And radio.
and radio, yep. And then none of that happens as well without mechanical spaces, our electric room, water room, HVAC room, and so on. So that's kind of our quick tour of there. I can keep moving on unless there are kind of any quick questions on what's going on. And otherwise, next up, let's sort of take a look at a bit kind of how it shapes out. One little caveat, our floor plan is pretty much set. We're still doing a little bit of design. Maybe we'll find out, yikes, we need a little bit of extra square footage for that server room so everything can fit. But I think otherwise that's pretty well gelled. I don't expect changes. In terms of outside, the massing for the outside, I think that also then follows. But in terms of materials and so on, that's still discussions that we're having with the county. So you kind of get a sense that we want to sort of work with a couple of materials and have it so there's a bit of variety and think how does this sort of tie in with its neighborhood? How does it work where it's going to have the 100-year kind of lifespan? But those are still kind of being thought through. In any case, there we go.
That's looking north, right? That's
That was
from the parking
looking
lot.
north.
From the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. So here, it's not quite necessarily on the map, but over somewhere there, we have Paradise Lane's coming down here. So historic buildings over there, there's our parking lot.
I mean, so the only comment I would make is this is on the Empire State Trail. That then crosses over to right at Ohioville, right? And so it would be nice if this was walkable. So right now, Paradise Lane is not, you can't get to Paradise Lane from Ohioville, right? Because you have to walk along 299. And so, if possible, there's a huge right of way along 299, that if you want, we could try to work something out. So my hope, like we wrote a grant, we didn't get it for to do some work here, but the idea would be to extend the either a wide sidewalk or maybe the shared use path from Ohioville up to Paradise Lane. And so that way people could walk or ride their bikes to the EOC or to Paradise Lane, just like.
So you would use the signal at Ohioville Road for the crossing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there's pet heads there or not. I don't know. I hear what you say.
But so it just like in 299 right of way, it's a really wide right of way that goes like well into the parking lot where the diner used to be. So there's room, and so you wouldn't even be using county land. It would be on 299, but just extend that up to the west from Ohioville up to Paradise Lane, and that would make this accessible by walking and biking and stuff.
That'd be very cool.
which would be, one more way for people to get there.
Mhm, mhm.
Just an idea. Sorry to interrupt.
No. Yeah, so again, we're kind of looking from west down on, and then next is sort of northwest view, so Heritage Lane's coming down this way. There's our new access road, throughway will be over here. This orientation is convenient because then puts our roofs where they'll be facing south, so the idea is, on that concept of trying to get to carbon neutral, then we've got some solar panels that can easily enough go, and then also getting some lighting and, PSAP necessarily kind of needs that protection, so we're kind of keeping it inside, and those are actually exterior windows, but mind you, for regulations, we're having to keep them sills up high and so on, so we want to still let them actually have a sense of life in the world outside. Oh, sorry.
Will you guys
All
be
those
using,
light, all those windows there, it's beautiful.
will you guys be using a local company for solar? Or was that,
I don't think we necessarily thought about that one yet, but I don't see why
I
not.
always try to support local stuff, just
Sure.
like that with buildings. They could all use the work.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then a few just kind of elevations, again, it's a sense that of kind of a little bit of the material in terms of a solid base course and then either like maybe a stucco typically and some panels, some spots. One thing I can tell you, again, this is maybe subject to a little bit of change. It's probably hard to read there. Our roof, high roof is coming in at 26. It's saying 26 feet. 20, yeah. The one thing I can assure you is that whatever, adjustments might be made, we're not going to touch and we're not going to go over 35 feet. That's sort of guaranteeable.
And the reason that's important is what we're going to discuss later is something called a balancing of public interest test. So we're going to try to make sure that we can conform to the zoning statute as much as we can.
Do you know if you're going to be able to put your stuff on that cell tower that's near the throughway?
We don't believe we need
Oh, okay, well.
a separate tower. We think that what we'll be able to do is to make the connection to the tower that's we already have on it with a very small antennas and
Huh?
not another tower, which is another advantage of the site. In other sites, we actually had to build a tower to connect to the rest of the system. And here we
It
don't.
says line of sight to Illinois now.
Nice.
And then same
Is it Illinois Mountain?
front elevation.
Yeah.
And then from the south north elevation as well with the windows trying to maximize.
Are people at the level of those windows, or is that all just above, like for light? No.
That's above for light.
Mhm.
This is a ballistics resistant building, and because it's 82 feet, it's not blast resistant because of that 82-foot separation. Or will be ballistics resistant.
And then I think from there, that's kind of all that we have for most of our own show and tell. In a way, next kind of goes back over to Dennis with a couple of slides. Let me see if I can get this.
Even I can't read that.
We are working with the construction managers, the same Palumbo group. That helped us with this and the fire station, and
Nice.
we pretty much settled on working on building it with the ICF construction, similar to the fire station.
Nice.
So the reason we're here has to do with the zoning statute in the town of New Paltz and the county's request to seek a limited immunity under something called the balancing of public interest test. There are 9 factors. I won't go through all of them, but I think that if you read them, you'll get a sense that we should not have a significant difficulty in meeting them. We have the necessary authority to essentially construct the facility. It is a significant public benefit for the facility. There are work that we're going to do relative to make sure that the community has a significant amount of input. And one of the things that we want to ask you to do is, one is decide what board essentially is going to make the balancing of interest. The case law is absent with respect to who is supposed to make it. We have been in front of a planning board, we've been in front of a zoning board, and we've been in front of a town board. in other places where we've used the balancing of interest test. And here we would hope that, given where we are right now, that we're making the presentation to the right board
Yeah,
for the balancing of public interest tests, and that you would agree that the town board would take the lead with respect to the balancing of public interest test. If that is the case, one of the things that we would recommend is that the town board hold a public hearing relative to the project, allowing the public an opportunity to comment and express concerns or support, one of them, either one. And then from there, what we would end up doing is we would go through, there is a difference of opinion as to whether or not the town or the community can make a decision with respect to the balancing of public interest test prior to completing all the necessary State Environmental Quality Review Act effort. And think of it this way. You're not telling us we can do something. You're just telling us that in doing something that we're not subject to your zoning statute. So that's why you see that difference in terms of the discussion as to whether you can do it absent seeker or not. We intend to go through a secret process. The county has passed a resolution requesting it to be lead agency. I think that went out.
yeah, we have that. So the two first items on our agenda. I have, we got your sample resolution.
Okay,
And so we have that here. I've given it to the board. It's posted on the town's website. And so we were gonna set a public hearing for February 16th at 7 PM
okay.
to discuss
16.
February 16th, 7 PM. To have the public hearing to discuss that. And then the next is, we did get the county's request or the lead agency, whether or not we wanted to be lead agency or not. You know, we can discuss it as a board, but my feeling is that, we don't need to be lead agency as the town board, that the county can do that.
Great.
So those are the next two things on our agenda. We're going to vote on those tonight, if everyone's okay with that.
Well, I'm a happy person.
I want this to happen. I do, and I think that, we'll see what other people say, right? But like I've said, I think this is going to be a huge benefit for the county and the town. So I don't know if anyone else has any other comments.
My only thought, just because I'm part Latina, is that, and I work a lot with Latino community, is that it would be interesting, since the percentage of Latinos in Ulster County are growing exponentially, to have some bilingual signage. Or just to even think, consider that, not that it has to be, but because more and more people during an emergency moment might want to read something in Spanish, might be something to consider.
Do you publish your notices bilingual or not? I'm just asking.
I don't think so. We publish them in the
Okay.
Kingston,
Yeah.
in the Freeman.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. I'm just thinking, I'm trying to think about a web presence for the project. And, we've done that in the past. To make sure all of the documents for the project get up, and then the community can go and download those. Do you put documents up as a town board? I know the planning board does, but I guess my question is,
We put everything up.
yeah.
okay,
Like, so this is all up, like,
All right.
this has all been up since, for 24 hours.
so if we sent you a copy of the presentation, a copy of any of the materials that we currently have that are out there in public.
Yeah.
You would post them, and then
We-
on our
we could-
website, we could direct them to your website. I mean, we'll post them. in
Yeah, we
both
can do that.
locations.
So this is now, the presentation is now, it's on YouTube. So, for this meeting, and so people can live stream, and, we can direct people to the presentation as well. It's on I can send you the link. The link is on the town's agenda for this meeting. So it's the public access YouTube page for the town.
And the only reason I do that is we're currently wrestling at the county level. With how to engage at a public level, mainly because. In order to find a project, you actually have to know what department is doing the project, because the way the webpage is set up, and we're working towards trying to make sure that the projects are on a projects page, and all the projects can get set up on those pages. And then there's updates to those projects. So we're currently having that internal discussion.
I mean, I think we could go knock on every person's door and when you start construction, you're gonna hear, this is the first I'm hearing of this.
People were accusing us of building a Starbucks on Plains Road at the cemetery.
Oh,
This- The committal shelter.
I can't.
Yeah, well,
Not kidding.
I just- so yeah, that's great.
Sorry.
Just,
Yeah, no, so, I don't know if anyone else has any other comments or not.
thank you
Yeah,
guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
or,
Very
do
excited.
we have a rough timeline? Because that's what someone's gonna ask, right?
Good thing you asked.
We do. Sorry, before we jump there, Dennis, was there anything else you wanted to touch on in terms of the?
The only thing is this gives you a sense of what we think we know about the project, and I just want to let you know that there is a brownfields out here. We have had that conversation with the Department of Environmental Conservation. We're also added to the design team. We've added the brownfield specialist that was working with the current owner
Mhm.
of the project. We've added them to the design team so that there's a continuity in working with the Department of Environmental Conservation. And we want to try to continue to work through that. The brownfields program here is, I think it's important to know, and we had to go through with this a couple times with the legislature. This is an orchard contamination. It's not unusual in Ulster County to
It's
have these kind of
standard.
conversations.
Say, if you-
So
Every orchard has this?
we do have emerging contaminants that we're working through and concerned about. The PFOA contaminants are emerging. But one of the things that we would plan to do with respect to this, and the other advantageous nature of the place where we're locating the facility, is the typical remediation for brownfields contamination of this type is,
We're gonna basically strip the contaminated layers of the soil, burn it up and encapsulate it.
Yeah, I think that's what the previous owner was gonna do as
Yeah.
well. That they were gonna build berms around it and this is what they were gonna do.
and so we knew we have geotech we have to do. We are not concerned at this particular point in time unless you tell us we need to be about traffic. We will give you traffic generation numbers so that you have them, but we're not planning on doing a separate traffic study for the site at this particular point in time unless you tell us that you think that would be necessary. The other work that's done, there's a substantial amount of environmental work that's done with respect to the hotel proposal that was here. We will use that environmental work and update it as we need to. One of those needed updates may be the jurisdictional determination for wetlands. We are not close to any wetlands, but we certainly want to make sure that one didn't form out there that we don't know about. So those are the kinds of things. And then the well question is out there with whether or not we drill a well, test it, or have that conversation with you and look at municipal water. And that's something I think we can come back and talk about.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
I'll see if I can find, we can probably have some of the reports for that, some of the testing for that well. See if we can find those.
Now, the county did do a segmented environmental review because we had to do that in order to purchase the site. So we will continue that segmented review, and under the statute regulations, we'll have to note that as we move forward with any of the findings that we make.
It is a separate entrance rather than using Paradise Lane.
We're going to use Paradise Lane and come off of it with an access road. What we're showing you is the fact that we can construct a through road through to the site. And we're not planning on constructing that through road. What we are showing you is a right of way, so that we can remember that separate utility discussion to get utilities in through that second area. So we'll establish that right of way. Does that?
Yeah, so it's not the main way to get in, but it'll be used. There'll be a separate road constructed.
We will use Paradise Lane as
Yeah.
the main entrance way, but it'll come off of Paradise Lane and a road into the site.
Yeah, but I think that's just gonna be a paper road where right of way where you could potentially put a road. but
That's
they're-
correct.
They're not building a road
Correct.
out to Ohio, South Ohio Road.
Correct.
Yeah, the
It's just-
physically constructed portion is what you can see shaded
In
and where
gray.
it kind of stops at the entrance to the
I
parking
wouldn't
lot.
see that thing right there confuse me, but
Yeah, that's a right of way.
it's right here.
That's, we would establish that to make sure that where we land the utility connections falls within that area. Basically.
Let's,
All
There,
right,
there will be a traffic study, will there be?
Well, if you think that there's one needed, we'll give you the numbers that we have in terms of moving in and out of the site and the traffic generation expected from the site. But on a daily basis, this is extremely low. To give you a sense, the current facility goes in and out of Golden Hill Drive in Kingston without any difficulty.
when I talk to other town supervisors, they're just like, you have too much traffic, I wish I had your problem. Right. You know, it's worse than too much traffic, no traffic.
I agree.
Hmm.
It's vitality. It's hard, but it is vitality.
It's just as easy as a presentation to the legislature, right? Sound board?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank
Uh,
you. Very
So, yeah,
exciting.
just quickly in terms of. the
Yeah.
time,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so again, site selection, finally made it, yay, as of mid-November. And, working through design services, really kind of
25.
all the last year and keep going, dealing now as well with all our regulatory bits. Yeah, there we go. So looking to simply start construction, in October. And,
Perhaps,
yeah, well, this is certainly, maybe on kind of a best case scenario. And then, something on the order of about 15 months for the construction. Will still take a good number of months to do commissioning and fit it out with all its equipment. So, we're looking hopefully to have,
And I'm really glad you asked the question because what this shows us is that we've lost time relative to site selection.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the project, we're paying catch up and being very aggressive with schedules. And one of the reasons we're being very aggressive with schedules is there is a pressing need to make changes to the Emergency Operations Center and the PSAC. Very pressing. Very
I
pressing.
don't know if people in New Paltz realize it, but, when I talk to the town supervisors just to the north, when those ice storms, it was devastating. We got very lucky, but people, maybe they don't realize how bad it was and how much we need something like this.
I still can't believe no one died.
Hmm.
Genuinely, that was a testament actually to the quick thinking and specifically also the sheriff's office and going door to door and all that work. And you need facilities to organize those things and do those things. So.
And wasn't it in the summertime, we had the tornado
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
coming through Kingston, where it's like Tornado Alley now. And like Hurley. Or something. My friend's house.
Great. So, we want to make sure I do this right, but I'd like to make a motion to set a public hearing on February 16th at 7 PM to discuss the Monroe balancing of public interest test regarding Ulster County's proposal to construct a government operations center at Paradise Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. And so I'm, as far as lead agency for Ulster County legislature, I'm not in favor of the town taking lead agency. I'm interested in us waiving that, so I'd like to make a motion to motion to decline the town of New Paltz being lead agency for Ulster County Legislature consideration of the construction of a government operations center at Paradise Lane in the town of New Paltz. Noting that the town has no objections regarding selection of lead agency and potential environmental impacts. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much. We
Thank
really
you, everyone.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Get moving.
Taking the time.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
wait.
you. Yeah, I'm
Move
looking
these
forward
chairs
to
out of
it.
your way.
Yeah, as I say, we'll get these put back in order.
And I know that Judge Bacon would like to have a meeting with us. So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session and invite the judge to
I
join
thought he
us.
was here for
Second.
this.
And
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And so,
Is this chair supposed to go somewhere?
I think they're going,
Built the place.
one goes here,
Furnish it.
one goes back here, and then the rest go in there. I'll take care of it.
Take it with you.
Good to see that.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, we actually. This is
New idea.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
I have a thought and a question.
Yeah.
You guys.
So.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out how to get that courtyard in. Because it's really compelling.
It is.
And I'm trying to convince everyone to think of that as a shared space that can be complementary to saying. Let me ask you the next question. Is there anything that you can hand us that would say, if we do this, it actually improves the air conditioning and heating and will actually save money in the long run?
All our calls, because we don't hire out a resident.
Because I was thinking you could use the courtyard as sort of to get air in and out of it.
Yeah, I doubt it.
That's, you know, thinking you're not making.
This is an opportunity that. Excellent.
Well, there's probably stuff that can be demonstrated that it's, yeah, I mean, there is stuff that demonstrate that it's good for human health. And that's, and in this case, that's very important.
Yeah, yeah, I hear
Whether that is enough to convince the legislature.
Yeah. We're not that forward thinking that way. I don't think we're counting shekels.
Yeah.
The other thing I just wanted to talk about was that the security question that Kevin raised. Any thought that we could think about using the berms that we have to create
Strategically locate them so they
for security purposes?
eliminate the possibility as much as possible.
Instead of finding a place on the site where we can put them in and they take up space, when I use them in the areas.
Least in part.
Yeah, okay, all right, that's what I was hoping.
There you go. I think that's a good approach.
365, 365, 360.
Well, we go 365, we'll put them next doors.
All the way around.
Oh, that's still being recorded.
Yeah. Anyway, how you doing, good?
Good.
Or for the live stream. Good. This is what I get as well, that station, which is worse. That is. Yeah.
You know what, my daughter made me get these. We went to the mall. Great. You're so
These new,
Did well.
these
She
new,
did well.
these are new.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Neil, do you want to give a general description about our discussion, just so you know, the public knows? Generally, what was discussed, that might be important.
Well, it's the next item on the agenda. So,
Do that, let's
I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session
second.
and make a motion to authorize the temporary hiring of Adrian Asensio at $22 an hour for port clerk and Stasha Dietz at $25 an hour per diem. And we have a limit for January 6th to February 28th. So we can advertise, and we're going to advertise for a full-time court clerk. I have $17 to $20 an hour on here, but I'd like to change it to 17 to 22 based on our discussion.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so,
So thank you to the board again. I know this is a difficult situation with across the board, but again, as I said, we have constitutional obligation to provide these services to the town, and I take that obligation very, very seriously.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming in.
and I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, 5A through 5C.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And let's see, now we're on to the reorganizational meeting agenda.
Do you think we can do this quicker than the House of Representatives?
Yeah.
Ten tries. How would we do it in one try?
But Alex, again.
We could take 8.
Skip number 6.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, 6.
might have actually.
Thank you. Number 6.
God, we were talking about.
The village is doing some replacement work on the water main that comes down from Mountain Rest Road to the treatment to the village. And it goes across a property there, and there's a conservation easement that's been on that property. But there's been, there's like 100-year-old document, and the easement allows maintenance and upkeep of the water mains on there. But just to make sure, it's like we're not breaking the conservation easement. The attorney has reviewed it. We've worked with the Walk Valley Land Trust, and it's all fine, but we're going on record saying that it's allowed under the easement, and so this lets them do the work. And so that's make a motion to approve the resolution that the town attorney has written for us.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you for catching that.
You know, thing.
I think they've already started work on it anyway, because I've been up there and I'm like, well, I guess we'll put this on. I got this yesterday from the attorney, but I think they started work, but so I wanted to get this through to make sure that everyone was fine. Now we're at the reorganizational meeting. And so motion to approve item number 1, delegation of administrative duties to the supervisor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve item 2, legal representation for the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve item 3, legal representation and consultants for the zoning board of appeals and building department. All in favor?
Aye.
And so maybe to make it easier, because we've been doing this over and over again, so Rosanna, it's easier for her, she can just say your name, whoever second,
Oh.
Neil second, or something
You
like
can
that.
just have one person do it too, so she can just write the same name over. and
Yeah.
over.
I want to do that.
Dan.
I'll take the honor.
Yes.
All right.
It's a good idea.
Okay, motion to approve item 3A, consultants for the planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve item number 4, engineer for the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to just move multiple at once?
Sure. I mean, we could do, does anyone have any objections to like approve 4A through We could do them all, like,
Yeah, we can do them all.
unless you guys want to discuss any of them. Nothing's really changed on
I
much
read
of them.
everything. so.
Yeah, it's all.
I went over
just fine.
everything.
So do
Yeah,
you want to just move?
I like to make a motion to approve items 4A through 17.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Is that 17A through N as well?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, A through N for
A through-
seven, motion to approve 17A through N.
I'll second again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Boy, we're getting more efficient at this. Thanks, guys.
Those are all signed.
I was wondering if you're gonna read it all.
I did the first year.
Oh, my God, you did
It was still not longer than Tony Hokinson. read. They read through every motion word for word and they took turns.
It's still not as long as any meeting that Susan was.
Yeah.
We had multiple meetings ago.